Welcome, everybody. It's Sunday, January 25th, and this is What's in the News. It's been an exciting week. I've had a whole lot of fun. We're going to get into all the details of what's exciting in the EV space. But first, we're going to start off with some of the fun things I've been up to this week. Started off with a good friend coming into town all the way from New Jersey, and that was Tom Moloughney. That was a really cool thing that in the middle of the night, we got to do. He came out here to have some fun with the Lucid Gravity. And so I got to meet up with him. We went and had dinner, and his video just posted today. So if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you pop over to his channel as soon as you're done watching this one. And he's got an amazing, detailed breakdown of our time going through and testing this at the V4 superchargers out in Redwood City. So I don't want to spoil that, but check that out. We took and had to go there really out there at midnight and went through and took it all the way down to zero and then did a charging exercise. You'll see us driving down the 101 freeway here in the Bay Area. And then we took and brought it by the Tesla superchargers, did a whole charging experiment. Again, I don't want to ruin the good times. But the reason we took it there at midnight was because I did my own test at those same superchargers just a night previous or a day previous there. So make sure you go over to my channel as well. I've got this posted here where I did a charging experiment with the Lightning and the Silverado. And Electron sent me a couple of their adapters, and we went through, and I was hoping to get 300 kilowatts out of the Silverado, but you'll see on my video that there were some people there with their Teslas plugged in. We went 9 in the morning, and I thought being there early enough that that would be okay. So you'll see some of how that experiment went. Be sure to check that out as well. But yeah, let's jump into the news. This was a fun test, by the way. Ended up having a couple little issues, a couple adventures with it. Still a fun watch. So yeah, go over and check that out on my channel. I'll leave both links to my video and Tom's, by the way, in the description. And maybe I'll drop some in the comments as well, just so it's easy to click on. Be sure to support those adventures that we had. But let's jump into the news. Some really crazy things happening in the world of Tesla in terms of something that's been around for years, things that we have come to really assume would always be there in terms of autopilot, just a standard offering that comes with all Teslas. And now it's going to be no more. So Tesla has decided to cancel their autopilot. That's a thing that's been on offer. It's on my wife's Model Y. And really, it's come to be something that most vehicles have as far as standard lane centering. It's like a cruise control, and autopilot's always been one of those things that you just had. And I know that from my standpoint, I just assumed would always be there. It's certainly a step behind when compared with FSD, but really just a shocking step by Tesla to eliminate it. And it's getting a lot of backlash from people online. And I think for others, though, they're kind of excusing it and even thinking that it was to be anticipated because the Cybertruck, if you recall, does not have autopilot. And the standard Model Y and the Model 3 did not come with autopilot. That was part of that affordable step that they took to try to make those entry level 3 and Y vehicles be something that could get the cost down on them. Those do not come with autopilot as well. So maybe we should have seen this coming. Um, I think there's a lot of speculation that this is tied to the legislation in California, or I guess it's not really legislation, but um, I guess the lawsuits and the way that they came after Tesla for the term autopilot. There have been, lawsuits in the past where people have sued Tesla over some really tragic deaths that have occurred by either the misuse of autopilot or people assuming that it would work a certain way, or perhaps even the failures and the limitations of autopilot. And so there have been some really unfortunate things and some tragedies associated with the technology. So as the radar has gone away, the way that it's been used and the gaps and the distances have had to change. The software really hasn't kept up with the times. FSD is clearly a better technology. So I'm curious what you guys think. There's a lot of differing opinions on this. We have looked at and seen videos online. I think one of the best that I really enjoyed was from our friend Kyle Connor, who did a really great explanation and a breakdown showing all the different versions and the limitations. And really, I'm with him from this standpoint, which is that autopilot allowed you to set your speed in a very unique way that FSD, for example, doesn't. It's, giving you the ability to lane center, to stay and control when you change lanes. FSD, no matter what you do, it's gonna change lanes for you, it's gonna do your speed for you, and in some of the videos that I've done with FSD, it does do a good job of regulating speed. We were ripping through neighborhoods and stuff at speeds that were, to me, unacceptable. I know my wife doesn't really enjoy FSD at all, she thinks it's way too aggressive. The lane changes, sometimes to me make it a little stressful, even if I'm in chill mode. So there is something to be said about the basic autopilot, and especially if you're trying to do testing or if you're just trying to sit. He points out, for example, that there's a phrase that they use, 9 you're fine, 10 you're mine, for when you're going through an area and maybe you're doing 9 over the speed limit, but once you hit 10 or 12, the police are going to get you. So if you want to set your cruise control at a very precise speed for what you know your local authorities are going to be going after, I wish FSD had stuff like that, and maybe a setting that said, "I control the lane changes," or "I control the speed limit." Right now, those don't exist. So this video by Kyle I thought was fantastic, but there are a number of videos out there. You can find any, series of FSD versus autopilot type of commentary online. So I am definitely of the standpoint that regardless of the reason why and whether this is a problem of lawsuits in California, which I don't know, man. I find it weird that you would take an entire country's worth of policy and say, because of a specific lawsuit in California, we're going to eliminate it. But, a giant chunk of their sales do come from California. So maybe that's the case. I just find it hard to believe they couldn't have come up with a rebranding. They've already changed the name. It's not Autopilot anymore. It's Auto Steer, I believe is what it's called. So you could simply rebrand it. You could roll it out under a different moniker and you could call it something different and be very clear about its limitations. So that just seems like a cop out to me to say that the lazy way out to say that, fine, we're taking our ball and we're going home. California has been mean to us. The lawsuits are too much. We're going to take autopilot and we're just going to eliminate it. We're not playing your reindeer games any longer. I don't know, man. That just seems weak. So I just don't buy that as being the whole answer. Is it part of it? Perhaps that's a component of the equation, but it just seems like an excuse to me. They could easily roll out something else. Even if you wanted to say that it's just an inferior technology they don't want to support and put resources into, make it part of FSD. Have a highway only FSD that is lane centering and cruise control in a way that is on offer as a complementary part of FSD that you get. And it allows you to set your speed, your lane centering, and simply be the most minimal aspect of cruise control that we're all used to. And especially if you're buying these 50 and $60,000 Teslas, much less the Cybertruck, for goodness sake. You should have that basic fundamental component that so many people actually want and enjoy. And let's just say you needed some type of monetary fine, make it a very reasonable $10 subscription, $20 subscription, something maybe that generates a little bit of revenue, but is so minimal as to make it not cumbersome and still give that functionality of lane centering, cruise control. I choose when I change lanes, and even enhances beyond what autopilot does today and gives you an FSD feature that's improved. So I don't know. I just think there were options. Maybe those will come into the future. That's my take. What's yours? I certainly love to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comment there. Um, and then, yeah, I think when you talk about uh, the different news articles, there's certainly plenty of those. I've scrolled through a few of these here, and they've really focused on this idea of the $99 a month fee and trying to get Elon's comp package up. And we all know that he is tied to that monetarily. So a lot of these articles have focused on those. Again, I suppose that's a component. I don't know that that's the whole story as well. We know that famously Tesla doesn't have a PR or communications team, so they're not one to apologize or explain themselves. Part of me admires that. Part of me finds that incredibly frustrating, but that is what it is. So I think that is pretty much all we're going to hear from Tesla. They're just going to go about their business as they always do. But I think the other part of the news that was a little bit disappointing, I suppose not totally unanticipated, but nonetheless something that uh, I think was a little bit of a shock was the news from Chevy. And I guess we should stop being um, shocked by Chevy because the big OEMs and their pivots and their changes. But yeah, they came out with the news that they are, canceling the Bolt. So, hey, it's here and it's gone. And so there we go. And like it's so frustrating. Like what Ford did is they bring something and then they cancel it and they replace it with gas vehicles. So yeah, the factory that's there in, Kansas, where they are making the new Bolt, one of the few affordable vehicles, and you know how passionate I am about this. I've got videos on my channel about how so few, EVs are affordable, and, so I've talked about this and about how much, I really hope that we can get more affordable EVs, and whether that is from China or whether that's upcoming technology with solid state or whether that's manufacturing techniques, whatever that is, um, it really is upper middle class technology, and maybe there's some used options out there, but the few options that did exist were, the Nissan Leaf, welcome back, and the Chevy Bolt, welcome back for a limited time. And look, they were upfront. They said it would be a limited time offering, but I think there was speculation on exactly what that, but here you go. The Chevy Bolt is back and soon to be gone again. So they're going to bring a vehicle from China, and it's going to be manufactured at their Fairfax plant in Kansas, and they are going to have gas vehicles just like Ford with their once touted T3 truck that was going to be built in Tennessee. Now that Tennessee plant is going to be gas vehicles. So too will this Fairfax, Kansas plant be making gas vehicles. It's going to be making the gas Equinox and this gas vehicle that's going to be brought over from China. I mean, great that we're having manufacturing jobs. I just wish they would continue with this Bolt. So we'll see how it sells, but they're looking to transition it into 27, 28 with gas vehicles. So disappointing, I guess, is a word. They're using those LFP batteries, and the charging speed has been improved, and the styling is subtle but slightly improved. And this is one of those affordable VEVs at $30,000. So um, yeah, man, such a disappointment. Again, let me know what you think. What else is out there? I mean, you're looking here at, Nissan Leaf, will that benefit them? Ford, interestingly, will have their timing in '27 when this starts to go away. Ford will be starting to introduce their universal affordable platform. Maybe that's an opportunity for them to capture that market. Does the market even exist, guys? There's the big question, right? We talk about affordable EVs. I certainly do. Is the Leaf gonna have sales? Will the Bolt have sales? What if they don't? What if the sales just aren't there and they continue to sell minimal volume? And meanwhile, maybe EVs just are a upper middle class homeowner where you can charge at home product. Maybe I'm deluding myself and wishing that people wanted affordable EVs and they really don't. We'll see. We'll see if this has some volume sales. We'll see if the Leaf has volume sales. When it goes away, will Ford step in and fill that gap? Will Ford sell 100,000 more or more of the universal affordable platform? Or will this just be a also ran volume vehicle? Will Leaf really not do anything impressive? Will Ford come out with their universal affordable platform and just be a shrug, a footnote? Will it still be all about the Tesla vehicles? And will it ultimately not make a dent in the marketplace? I mean, I guess more to come on that, right? I'd love to know what you think on these things. Tell me what you think of the Nissan, of the Chevy. What do you think the future is for Ford and their affordable platform? Am I crazy? Do people really not want these cheaper, affordable EVs? What do you think about the Tesla Autopilot? This is what's in the news for this week. We hope to see you again in the future. Like and subscribe if you like these kind of episodes. Don't forget to check out my video at Bo Family EV and, of course, Tom at State of Charge. It's been a fun week. We'll see you on the next one.